they were genuinely considering herd immunity. That's pretty clear, right? Cummings also said he believes it's crackers, that's a quote, that Boris Johnson is Prime Minister. Bit odd that he spent ages trying to, working for him and trying to convince the public that he was the right guy to be Prime Minister, but okay. What else? I mean, I'm looking through on my computer here. There is so much. It's genuinely horrifying. Another thing Cummings has said is that Boris Johnson regarded COVID-19 as a scare story. He referred to it as the new swine flu, which is bizarre in of itself because swine flu did hurt and kill quite a few people. It just wasn't, like a globally devastating pandemic like COVID has been. But you should still do stuff about it. And he suggested that Chris Whitty could inject him with it on live television. So we have a situation where a government advisor, a key government advisor, who no longer works in that position, is giving evidence to members of parliament, saying about how the Prime Minister and the Health Secretary totally miscalculated the severity of coronavirus, or they understood it, they just didn't really care. At least seriously considered a herd immunity strategy in the beginning, and that ultimately there was also a heavy dose of corruption there, certainly on the Health Secretary's side. And I think we know Boris Johnson isn't exactly rosy and clean on the corruption side of things. And to top it all off, the main person in charge of transferring that important information in the world of British politics to the British people, the main person, Laura Kuenssberg, right? Because let's be honest, the BBC is supposed to be the ultimate news source in the country. It's now revealed, it had a pretty close relationship with Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings throughout the crisis, certainly a lot closer than the rest of the media. And I think it says something that the BBC would kind of cut that off on their clip just before Cummings starts talking about her specifically. I want to make it clear, his party will not be the biggest party in this new government, and therefore you'd certainly hope the more moderate, more centrist party will have more influence, and those more liberal and more left-wing parties will have a decent chunk of influence as well. But unfortunately, it looks like in a lot of ways the status quo may remain. Now Netanyahu may be gone, and the guy's he's currently under investigation for all kinds of horrible things. He's very obviously a very corrupt leader, but this is so much deeper than that, and I think we all need to understand that. The people of Israel deserve better. Let's be perfectly clear. And of course, the people of Palestine are crying out to be recognised and to have autonomy and human rights and self-determination, and all of these very, very important things. And it doesn't look like that's going to change. So this story is developing at the moment. Like I said, we don't actually have an awful lot of information about it, but I thought I'd talk about it because I want to kind of demonstrate just how major this and how deep-rooted this issue is with the Israeli-Palestine conflict, because quite frankly, no one in a position of significant power who's kind of, using that for significant leverage in the government is really looking out for the Palestinian people in a way that is sufficient, because they shouldn't need to be looked out for by Israel's leaders. They should have self-determination. They should have the autonomy to look out for themselves. They shouldn't have to rely on the good graces of Israel. And of course, it's absolutely unfair and, I mean, deeply unethical that there's such rife nationalism and corruption at the heart of Israeli politics when it comes to how that affects the lives of the Israeli people as well. But then it turns out that he donated £500,000, his largest single donation yet, to the Tories just a few days after being made a Lord, after Boris Johnson overruled the House of Lords Appointment Commission to make sure that he would be a Lord. So, look, this is just another example of so many that we see all the time, where a really, really wealthy individual, this guy's a billionaire, right? A really, really wealthy individual wants something. Either they get it first and then just magically, a short period of time after, the government, or should I say the Conservative Party, gets a massive financial contribution from them, or it's the other way around, and they get a massive financial contribution from them, and then just magically a short while after, might be a few days, might be a month, whatever it is, they suddenly have this very important position, and that time and time again. Conservative donors have been given over £800 million in COVID contracts, and we wonder why our track and trace system is still pretty abysmal. We wonder why so often it seems like, even when the government now is committing to putting a lot more funding into different public services and things and utilities and all this stuff, it's still not up to snuff. And the reason is, A, it takes a long time to reverse this level of austerity, but B, a lot of it isn't really public services. It's giving contracts to private corporations that actually don't know what they're doing, because they're governed by and owned by and managed by people who aren't really very knowledgeable in this sector. They don't really know what they're doing. This guy shouldn't be a lord. Doesn't matter.